Hey, you guys. Hey, God has been showing me the last couple of days that the enemy is sending out doubt and confusion real heavy right now, okay? He was showing me that the enemy is sending out doubt and confusion real heavy right now. But he said this is a learning experience, okay? This is a learning experience. He wants you to learn from this. So how he originally showed me this. So last week, he gave me a message and he was showing me that he was breathing new life into these kingdom marriages. He was causing people to feel closer to that spouse, that person, that God ordained spouse that God has in store for them, right? He was drawing them near to each other. He was sowing seeds of I don't know, I guess love, y'all, whatever. But he said he was breathing new life into these marriages. And I was feeling that from him all last week, like multiple days in a row. I was waking up with love songs playing in my spirit. Multiple days in a row, I was just waking up hearing these love songs. And I knew they were coming, in reference to my spouse. Now, in the past, I woke up hearing love songs before. And it was God sharing his heart with me, right? But this time I knew it was referencing my spouse. And then one of the mornings, right before I woke up, I had a dream I remember where my spouse was literally dancing and singing love songs to me or whatever. And so anyways, God was sending it out so thick last week. And and he said he's breathing new life into these marriages. And so after a couple of days of that, and I was embracing it, which is something I don't normally do, I told God I needed a break from it for a little bit because it was a little bit like it was starting to feel overwhelming. It was starting to feel overwhelming for me. And I just said I just needed time just with you, with God, and I didn't want to think about nothing else, or nobody else. And so I began to pull back some. I said I want to, get back to focusing on God. And then right after that, God, the next night or whatever, me and God was talking. And he asked me how I was doing. He asked me how I was doing, like we were doing a check-in. Because, sometimes you get busy and you just keep going and going and going. And even though you talk with God, you don't really just sit there and thoroughly really, dig deep on some things. How are you feeling? Where's your mind at? Where's your head at? And just, how are things going or whatever. And so anyways, when we did that, I kind of broke down with him, which is what I always do. And just being honest about my reservations, concerning the kingdom marriage he has in store for me. And long story short, y'all, I had began to self-sabotage. So I was pulling away out of fear because when he was pouring out that, like he said, he's breathing new life into these marriages. When he was doing that, it was an overwhelming feeling. And it was so nice and it was so beautiful. And then I started to get scared because it felt too good to be true. It felt too good to be true and I didn't want to be heard. And then I don't know, we're all trying to just be patient in this. So we don't know when these things are going to take place. This could take place this week. It could take place a year from now. So I'm just like, in my mind, I was just thinking, I don't want to feel too much. And I don't know when this is, going to take place or whatever. And so I was like pushing back. So God was showing me in this, some of y'all have possibly been self-sabotaging. He wants you to look at how all this happened, okay? How you got to whatever you're feeling now or struggling or battling with now, okay? And something else he showed me. Jesus is Lord. So while he's pouring that out all last week and he was doing that, the enemy is a copycat. He mimics God. He wants to be God so bad. So he was showing me how the enemy was coming back behind him. And he was sending out doubt and confusion regarding that same person, right? 2 days later. Okay, so after I had that talk with him or whatever, the next night, I'm feeling like I'm remembering things from my past, about this person, things that were a problem. And it's kind of turning my heart, in a negative way, right? And then the next day, the same thing. I wake up and I have a memory. Like, you ever heard this saying that you may forget what a person did, but you never forget how they made you feel, right? You may forget some of the things they did, but you'll never forget how they made you feel, right? So with me, it's, it's like that. So, but when I woke up that morning, literally, I remembered something that I had completely forgot about. I remembered something about me and this person in the beginning, and I had completely forgot about that thing. I haven't thought about it in years. And I was like, oh my God. And I remembered how it left me feeling bad, right? And this is when me and this person first started talking a long time ago, whatever, right? And so God was showing me the enemy was bringing up those bad thoughts. God had just came in and poured all this love and encouragement towards this relationship, longing and all this stuff, for me thinking of this person in a good light. I knew he was doing it on both sides or whatever. And then the enemy backdoor came behind him and he tried to sow seeds of doubt, of confusion, and trying to remind me. So God is showing me what this thing is going to be, what it's going to look like, getting me excited for it and all this stuff. And the enemy is showing me some of the worst. He's reminding me, bringing to mind some of the worst moments that I had with this person. And so I'm battling, I'm struggling. So anyway, y'all, I didn't mean to, I hope this makes sense. I know I always say that, but the bottom line is God was showing me the enemy's sowing out confusion real heavy right now, doubt and confusion, and you need to rebuke it. And this is preparing you, because when we get in these marriages, he's going to try to do the same thing. He's going to try to do the same thing. What God wants you to do is take every concern to him in prayer, every concern. Know that he's working. Believe him when he says he's working, and take every single thing, issue, whatever concern you're having right now, take it to God in prayer. You're going to have to pray over these marriages once you're in them. So you got to do that right now as well. The enemy is going to try to sow seeds of confusion in the marriage if he can. He's going to try to disrupt it. He's going to try to get in the door any way he can. Okay. And that's why God has told us to create a lot of boundaries, and different things. But the point is, this is preparation. He said this is a learning experience. We're going to be continually covering our homes in prayer, even once we are, with the person. So he said, take this as a lesson, okay? To take this as a lesson, as a learning experience, and continue to cover that person in prayer. And it's something else he showed me later in my day. As I was going on throughout my day, I kept running into different people who made me feel uncomfortable, right? I would see some of these people be nice to someone else. These are strangers now. They were nice to other people, and then when I came around, they were acting funny with me. And it just kept happening back to back. And what I picked up was basically, it was a spirit. It was a spirit on these people I kept ending up around. And God was showing me that it was demonic spirits at play. With whatever confusion you're dealing with, whatever doubt you're dealing with, that's what he was basically showing me. And long story short, y'all, God is clearing up so many things right now. He's working and clearing up so many things right now. And he also mentioned that there will be a temptation for you to be offended. Okay? There's a temptation for you to be offended by things or people not acting the way you want them to act, by things not looking the way you want them to look. A lot of y'all, he said, y'all have been dealing with confusion, doubt. Some people dealing with shame, offense, y'all low-key offended about a situation. God wants you to give all that up to him in prayer and see it from his perception, okay? Not the way people in the world see things, but the way God sees it. What is God saying about this situation? What is God saying about this relationship? How does God want you to handle this? Okay? How does he want you to pray about it? Okay? So anyways, you guys, just take all this to God in prayer. And I hope I explained everything well. But basically, he just wanted you to know the enemy is sowing this out. The enemy is sending this out intentionally. But you know better. You know better, okay? So just take all things to God in prayer and don't even come in agreement with any of it, okay? Don't come in agreement with any of the lies. All right, I love y'all.